The Chinese fighter plane has released flares very close to a Royal Australian Air Force plane carrying out surveillance in international airspace over the South China Sea. Defence Minister Richard Marles had this characteristically weak response.
On 2 occasions, it released flares very close to the P-8, and it's really the proximity at which the flares were released, which has given us cause to deem this unsafe and unprofessional. We have made representations to the Chinese embassy here in Canberra, and indeed our embassy has also made representations in Beijing.
Yeah, Michael, another nothing to see, all above board response from Labor. And yet, Anthony Albanese has just been and gone to China. All that panda diplomacy has fallen on deaf ears.
Yeah, look, it'd be interesting to hear what the Chinese government's response is to the letting off of these flares in our inquiries. The Australian government attitude to China is very obsequious. We are a small nation with big trade. We are inferior militarily in every other way, and that's the way Albanese treats the relationship with China. We are subservient. We can't challenge them. We can't take them on. We're fearful of, a trade embargo, which is what happened a few years ago when the then government tried to stand up to China. So he's just decided weakness is the best course of action, and you see it in everything the Australian government does with China, which is very dangerous, of course. It emboldens China in the South Pacific. And that's why our treaty with the New Guinea is an important one. But, quite frankly, you have to stand up to China from time to time. You just can't, bury your head, which is what the Australian government does, and let China walk all over us. Because I think on too many occasions that seems to happen, and we never get a sufficient response from China as to why they're doing what they're doing off the Australian coast.
No, exactly. And I mean, what are they waiting for? All this, soft diplomacy, and then a flare hits one of our military jets and blows the thing up. I mean, what are they waiting for, Nick? And also, I wonder about the timing of this, because China would have known, obviously, that Anthony Albanese was going to the US for this meeting. Do you think there's anything in that?
Well, if the Chinese did do it to time with that meeting, then they've done us a favour, because it was a clear reminder for Anthony Albanese, who seems to have trouble realising this, whose side we are on in this dispute. So he's there signing a strategic deal, he's there signing a trade deal, both to deal with the China threat. He's got this reminder of the China threat the day before. Surely he's got to stop this pretence that Australia is somehow in the middle, that we're friends with everybody, that China is a benign power that has our best interests at heart. It's ludicrous. And, while we're at it, we should remind Jacinta Allen of that after she's just been to China to try and get money out of them for this, that and the other. She shouldn't be anywhere near China right now. She should be barred from going to China. Yeah,
no, exactly. Well, clearly, but they're all cozying up to China at the moment. Now, look, former Nationals leader Michael McCormack has attempted to hose down suggestions that MPs could quit the party or defect to One Nation, of course, amid the reports that Barnaby Joyce is in high-level talks with Pauline Hanson following his decision to quit the Nationals. Michael, look, the Nats, they're downplaying this, even David Littleproud saying, everything's all above board, but I mean, realistically, how do you see this playing out? There's so many issues at play, and it all stems around energy policy.
Well, it partly does, partly personality issues and the way Joyce was treated before the election, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of personal issues that Barnaby Joyce has with the National Party. I would think in the next month or so, the energy policy issue will be resolved. And what I'd really like to see is Barnaby make a decision on his future sooner rather than later. I mean, if he's staying with the National Party, he should say so. If he's leaving the National Party, equally he should say so. I mean, you can't let this caravan keep circling, day after day, week after week, month after month. It's destructive for the National Party. It's not really helping Barnaby because people think he's a wrecker. And obviously doesn't help the coalition. So the sooner he makes the decision, I think, the better, so we can get on with policy development. And you can see that's what Susan Lee's doing on a daily basis. She gave a great speech to the CIS yesterday about the importance of lowering personal income taxes. So she's starting to build a narrative for the next election, and these distractions are not helping. And as James Patterson said, it's time to bring this sort of national apology to fracas to an end, so people can concentrate on the next election, I think, Danica.
Well, look, absolutely. And I mean, the problem is that the coalition are still talking about themselves as opposed to actually putting some policy ideas on the table. And that's half the battle right now. But I mean, is Michael right, Nick, that the sooner Barnaby comes out and says, yep, this is what I'm doing, everyone can move on? Yeah,
of course he is. When this story broke at the weekend, or was it on Friday, Barnaby should have either just denied it completely, he said he had no intention of leaving the Nationals and joining One Nation while he's in Parliament, or he should just get on and do it, leave the party room and go and join One Nation if that's what he's inclined to do. I don't think that'd be a sensible thing right now. But I do think it's a reminder of the importance of the coalition getting its act together, getting a firm position on immigration, a firm position on energy policy that the party can live with, both sides of the party can live with, even if neither side is happy. Because if they don't fail to do that, then what we see with Barnaby is just a foretaste of what's to come. You will see a complete realignment of the centre-right, which is not a good option. It's a much better option that the coalition goes in a united position to fight the next election. Yeah,
couldn't agree more. Give voters a clear and actual stark choice. Now, look, the Queensland government has signed a pseudo-voice pact with 17 Indigenous-run councils, granting them direct access to the state cabinet to advise them on issues like housing and water access. Meanwhile, the state's 60 other councils will be forced to continue dealing with layers of bureaucracy to meet with government figures. Michael, I can't help but wonder if this is some sort of a voice by stealth.
Well, look, I don't agree with it. We're one nation where you can't have a treaty, a nation can't have a treaty with itself. That implies there are two nations that can't get on and need special privileges to deal with each other. It's very destructive, it's divisive, it's based on race, and it's not helpful to the nation. So to acknowledge, I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of Aboriginal advisory bodies already, the Council of Peaks. I mean, there's hundreds of them. I don't think the Indigenous community's capacity to talk to state and federal governments is in any way been inhibited in recent years. I can't think of any major examples of where these voices haven't been heard directly with government, as they should be, as every group making representations to governments and government bodies should be heard, and they have been heard. But I think to grant special privileges to one group over another is wrong, and I regret that this is being done. We've got this problem now in Victoria with the voice by stealth coming to the Victorian Parliament, which will divide Victorians by race forever if it gets passed by the upper house. So no, I don't agree with these types of proposals, and I wish the government would rethink it up there.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. We're almost out of time, Nick, but your thoughts?
Well, rather than find these workarounds to bypass bureaucracy, why not slim down the bureaucracy in the first place and then make it fair for everybody? It's ludicrous that you should do this for one particular group rather than another, and I'm surprised the Queensland government is going anywhere near there. Yeah,
well, 60% of us said no to being divided by the colour of our skin, so we can't keep having this. Nick Cade and Michael Kroger, good to see you both. Thanks so much for joining me on the show. Appreciate it.